So what I wanted to go through today, there's two parts to this. One is, I think, just setting up a little bit of what's happening on YouTube. And then the second is to actually go into, it's more of a best practices for developing content actually on the YouTube platform, specific more for animation and family entertainment. So content targeted towards families and kids. So I thought what I'd just start out with is, I think happening, next door here with, the first, I thought this was actually before, but the first ever Bangkok Comic Con. So you have people, I think, here that are passionate about, different IP and content. And just last week in Los Angeles, we had an event called VidCon. And this is the fifth year that it's actually happened. And it is a gathering of community of people around YouTube content. And this is one of the scenes from last week. So they had 18,000 people come to Anaheim to meet personalities that make content on YouTube. And so you have here, this is Joe on the right in the glasses. His channel on YouTube is Mystery Guitar Man. And so he has, I think a few million subscribers from around the world. And people actually, he's a Brazilian. And his fan base is actually global. I think people here in Thailand actually watch his content. And so it's more of a meetup. So you can actually meet the people that you've seen on YouTube that you're passionate about. I think a little bit similar to if you care about Star Wars or Doraemon. I saw the booths in the hall there. You can actually interact with the content you like. So these two people, these are two brothers, Hank and John Green, and they created VidCon. So 5 years ago, there was no gathering for the community on YouTube. So this is again the first year that the Comic Con happens here in Thailand, and so I think there's a recognition that there is fandom for a certain IP. And so I think Hank and John Green 5 years ago just saw that there were people making content on YouTube and probably had a lot of things to share and learn from each other, but there was just no place for them to gather. And at the time, YouTube as a company was not offering that platform, so they just went ahead and created the event. And every year it's been doubling in size to, again, this year, 18,000 people. And they also have their own channel on YouTube, Vlogbrothers. Are any of you actually seen this channel? No? No? Okay. So, I mean, it's up to now 2.2 million subscribers. And the community are refer to themselves as nerd fighters. And so they, post content on a regular basis, and they're, each of the brothers are actually, appearing on the channel. And one thing is, John Green actually wrote. He's also an author, and he wrote the young adult novel, The Fault in Our Stars. And I was just walking the hall, just this morning, and I think later this month, actually, the film is coming here in Thailand. So this film opened up, actually, this is actually less than a month, so June 6th. And what's interesting is, the film cost $12 million to produce. It opened the first weekend, I think, nearly $50 million in box office, and it's generated close to $200 million, within a month worldwide. And there's a lot of commentary about this because one is when he wrote the novel, what he was leveraging was the fan base that he created on YouTube. And so this YouTube fan base, these 2 million subscribers, they already know John Green. And so when he has the novel, they'll go and read the book. And when he has the movie, they'll go and watch the movie. In the same weekend, Tom Cruise, who you're all familiar with, Tom Cruise, the actor. Yeah, so Tom Cruise had a film that cost $175 million to make, and it grossed half of what The Fault in Our Stars made on its opening weekend. And so there's, again, commentary in the U.S., just in the last month that, having this, traditional star power maybe is not enough, but actually having this fan connection is really what's, important today, and it's what's going to be important, tomorrow. And just one other dimension, so Rooster Teeth, this is another channel on YouTube, and they're up to 7.5 million subscribers now. And years ago, they started Machinima. So the guys behind this are heavy gamers, and what they did was they used technology to basically produce original content using characters from video games. And then they've produced, Red versus Blue as one of their original series, and this is one of the most watched, actually, Machinima, series on the internet. And still active right now, they've put up a campaign on Indiegogo. This is a crowdfunding platform out of the U.S., and they've had 30,000 funders give them $2 million for a new film they want to make, and there's still 3 days left. So what they're, again, going with is, 7.5 million subscribers. These are the people who are saying, I'm interested in your content and I want to see more of it. And furthermore, 30,000 are saying, I'm going to take money out of my wallet and give it to you to make even more of that content. So I think there's a real movement here with, again, connecting with the fans and the community and what that can mean kind of going forward. So I think you're all familiar with Frozen. It's just been this, phenomenal success, I think so far, this year. I was in Las Vegas a few weeks back at the licensing show, and there's a lot of talk around, there, like a couple of years ago, the big IP was Angry Birds. And then last year, the big IP was, actually now I'm forgetting the name. It was a TV series, shoot, it'll come back to me. Anyhow, it was a TV series, was actually the big IP last year. Duck Dynasty. I don't know why I just forgot that. So Duck Dynasty, which is probably more pertinent for, people in the U.S., not so much international, but that was the big IP that people actually wanted to license and turn into toys and T-shirts and whatnot. This year, there's a lot of talk just going back to film and how film properties, can draw, again, that large fan base. What was also interesting, though, about this, and I met with people at Disney across, the Asia region, earlier this year, was just how the fan community, got behind the content. And John Lasseter, who actually runs animation at Disney, actually was saying that, he finds actually more valuable is seeing little 3-year-old girls sing Let It Go and post that on YouTube than actually winning an Oscar. I can speak like for my daughter who is, will not stop singing the song. So this is actually search on YouTube for the term Frozen. And you can see the spike here. This is actually when the film is coming out. And so this is people actually looking for, content related to Frozen. And these are the covers. And so you have, a young girl doing a cover and getting 22 million views. For Disney, this is really important because, one, they can put out their official video, which has, 100 million views. But if you add all the user uploads of people actually doing covers, it's way more views than actually the official. And so for them, their whole thing is actually just about growing the awareness of the IP and actually having people celebrate that. And they could do that now through the platform. And I was also just noticing that it's also here in Thailand. So you have, people actually posting content like Disney has done it themselves. They've actually localized the song, and then you have users here in Thailand we've seen as well, making covers of the song in Thai. So that's it. So again, what I wanted to kind of set up here is something that we've been looking at a lot within the company, definitely over the last year, is just this growth in fandom. And a colleague of mine in the U.S., I think, put it well. He was talking at a forum earlier this year, and just saying it's less about viewers and it's actually more about fans. The viewer is that passive, the one. It's a passive, like, one way. The fan is a very active two-way. They're going to give you feedback. They're going to tell you what they like, what they don't like, and you're going to learn from them over time. And so what we start to see is actually on YouTube, what's really kind of coming into, like, why is a channel or a certain piece of content successful? It's because it actually has strong fan engagement, and the people behind that are investing a lot of effort to cultivate that community. So Hank and John Green, their community called Nerd Fighters. Rooster Teeth this weekend in Austin, they have their own event just for Rooster Teeth. 30,000 people are going to show up at this event. That's their community. They're as far as I understand, they're going to be in a convention hall like this, just watching people play video games. That's what they want to do. So what I want to go through now is when we look at content. Okay. Yeah. So the next piece I just want to kind of share is a little bit about like what is actually resonating here in Thailand. And so I went through some data in just terms of like what are Thai viewers actually watching on YouTube as it relates to animation, just to give you a sense. And the thing here is that Thai viewers here from an animation perspective are watching a lot of foreign content. So let's go into it. So the top channel actually being viewed from a family entertainment perspective is Mother Goose Club. This is a channel out in New York. I believe the gentleman behind this, so he's Korean, but Korean American. And he was either like a lawyer or an accountant. And so his background was not, I think, what you guys are doing. But, I think a decade ago, they were actually producing interstitials for PBS, the public broadcasting station in the U.S., who doesn't accept advertising. And so what they were doing was they were making content to fill what would be, the ad slot. And so these are like 1-minute interstitials, but like real high quality content. And then what they did is they had enough of these and they said, look, we can go make DVDs and we could stitch together all these 1-minute interstitials we made and now go sell the DVD. And then what he was trying to also do is he was trying to syndicate this content to other countries. And what he found was like, he kept trying to explain his content and there's just no easy way to show it. And then YouTube came around and he started putting the content on YouTube, originally just to show the people he was trying to sell to. And then other parents just started finding the content and that was growing. And what he realized over time was the audience actually on YouTube, the consumer, consuming the content was actually far more valuable than the traditional route of just trying to sell it to broadcasters. And so he shifted his focus. And so today, he has a studio in New York, and he cast actually young people. I'd say mostly like tween or teenagers. And so they are the cast in the show, and they're in costumes. And they go into production in the summer when they're not in school. And they basically produce a year's worth of content, in those 2-3 months. And then they spend the rest of the year editing and uploading and then cultivating that community. So that's his process. So he's not making content 12 months of the year. He's making most of his content 2-3 months of the year. But this is content in English. And so what I suspect here is this is Thai parents who want their kids to actually learn English are watching this content. So these are like nursery rhymes, ABC 1, 2, 3. The second is Tutitu. This is from Israel. This is the second biggest channel, I think, in terms of popularity here in Thailand from a family entertainment perspective. So also, again, preschool focused, ABC 1, 2, 3 type content. What they've done recently is they launched a Thai channel. And so they are starting. When you watch the content, though, there's not a ton of dialogue. But for whatever little dialogue there is, then they've localized that actually into Thai. But again, from Israel. Third biggest, and this is an interesting trend we've seen over the last year. This is a channel called Surprise Eggs. The channel is called Toys and Funny Kids. So what we've seen pick up is we refer to it as toy unboxing. And so I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. They love watching these videos. And it's simply someone opening up a Kinder Surprise and just opening up the toy and showing that to the camera and talking about it. And then that's the video. And it is, it's amazing, I think. Like toy companies historically to go sell toys would make, 30-minute cartoons and put that on TV. like G.I. Joe or Ben 10 and get people excited about the content to then buy the toy. Now you don't have to make a 30-minute cartoon. You just show the toy. And this is getting watched an incredible amount of time by kids all around the world, and again here in Thailand as well. And this is a channel that's now about 300, almost 350,000 subscribers. But again, it's simply just taking like a Kinder Surprise, and it's opening it up. That's it. And from what I can tell, I think this is a channel that is only in English, so it's not even in Thai. This is Cyber Village Solutions. This is from India. And so they produce content in a lot of different languages. It's actually not showing up on the right, but a lot of their languages are actually, the Indian regional language, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, for example. But I think it's showing up here in Thailand. I'm suspecting again here in English. And so this is parents actually wanting to expose their kids to English content. This is a very small studio in India. I believe they're actually based in Delhi. And pretty basic 2D Flash type content. So next is Super Simple Songs. These are guys, they used to be based in Japan, and then they moved to Canada, where they can actually work with a little bit more animation studios. And so again, they started also ABC 123 type content, and now they're starting to expand into original, content with the audience. They're up to 1.1 million subscribers, growing quite fast actually. And then We Are Busy Beavers. He used to be based in Canada. He moved to New Zealand. That's where he's been living for the last 3 years. Again, also, I say preschool focused content, English language. And then you have another toy unboxing. This is another channel popular here in Thailand. And I think they, opening up Kinder Surprise or playing with Play-Doh. Like my daughter actually got fixed on Play-Doh by watching these videos on YouTube. And then she just wanted the Play-Doh set. Sure, you're familiar with Angry Birds. So their channel Rovio. This comes up quite high in Thailand. And Kids TV 123. Yeah, so that's the last one. So this is out of Japan. The gentleman actually lives in Osaka, producing ABC 123 type content. So if we just pause I just went through. So each of these channels, generate on a monthly basis millions of views here in Thailand. So it's pretty significant viewership. I think the common thread, so it's all pretty preschool focused. I would say 2 to 5 year old, and not the 5 to 9 or 5 to 12-year-old set. English language, and so I think what this kind of shows you is there's a market here of Thai parents wanting to expose their kids to English nursery rhymes and content. But the other thing I've been thinking about is on the other side is what you don't see coming up very high outside of the Tutitu from Israel. Like no one here is actually producing this type of content for the local audience in Thai yet. Maybe you guys can start. I would gather that there's actually a large audience willing to consume. We just don't have content producers actually producing yet. Is my take on this. And so, this is all pretty basic 2D Flash, type content. But what's also interesting to note with some of these guys, like I'll take this one or Super Simple Songs. I don't have another one. I thought I had it actually up here before, but this is a good one actually. So you see at the top in the banner, so those are the characters that they've created. What I think some of these channels have actually done quite well is they started with, frankly, license-free content. Like nursery rhymes, like no one holds a license to that. You don't need to pay someone to actually produce a nursery rhyme content. It's royalty-free. And so whatever you generate in terms of revenue on YouTube, you keep all of that. And so I think what some of these guys have found is it's a nice way to start. The only cost is your time and labor. Like there's nothing else. You can start to build the audience that way. But what I've seen with some of them, that's I think they've done this quite well, is they start to introduce their own characters and things that are actually unique to them. This then becomes, I think, a valuable asset over time. Just as any other animation studio is trying to make original IP, that becomes an asset. That's what I think they have. But instead of starting with original content, which may be tough to kind of conceive and think it up, what they're starting with is what people already know are the basic nursery rhymes, and that's what parents are searching for. And then that's that's like the base foundation, and then they just layer on top of that. So it's an interesting strategy. And again, it's a I would say a lower or low cost, way of entry. We have a partner in Malaysia. It's a studio, Le Copa, and they produce this original series called Upin and Ipin, and it's Bahasa language content, which you'd imagine the only two markets really for Bahasa content are Malaysia and Indonesia. So they're not actually global reach. Whereas a lot of these guys I was just going through, none are based here in Thailand, none are based in Southeast Asia. They're all based in Europe or in the US or in Japan or in India, but they have a large audience here, right? So they're getting this export market. For this partner in Malaysia, what's interesting is there's really only two markets because they produce it only in Bahasa. But they actually said there was an event last month, and the CEO was saying that he expects the revenue from YouTube to start to make up 25% of the total company revenue within the near future. And today it's already pretty significant. So they're finding, I think the reason I share this is in some of these markets where you get into local language, there's actually now a large enough audience to make it commercially viable. And I would suspect here in Thailand, after we launched YouTube in May, and so we've enabled monetization. And there's been a lot of, I think, positive activity from advertisers in the market. So I think there's a ready market there from a commercial standpoint. There's just an opportunity now for more supply and more content to come onto the platform. So one URL to write down if you haven't been or you haven't seen this before, youtube.com/creators. It's at the top. You can download on this page. There's a creator playbook. It's in English, and this will walk you through a lot of the fundamentals of setting up your channel on YouTube, and really kind of getting started in some of the basics from there. But there's other case studies, other things I think that are actually quite valuable, on that site. So this is an image for Content ID. So what I wanted to kind of talk about, if you guys are thinking about this from a company standpoint, or you're thinking about this, just in your free time, I guess as students, there's several ways to kind of start on YouTube. So one is, like these guys, is just setting up a channel. There's no cost. It's just your time, right? It's free to do this. It's just your effort to, design the branding, make the content, and upload. And I'll get through in a little bit more in some of the workshop, the second deck I actually have in terms of how that's actually running for some. This is really the first piece. And you can actually, through the registration process, join our partner program. It's free. There's no cost there. And you can enable monetization. And so what that means is when the videos get served, Google will actually run ads against that. And then you as partners actually keep the majority of that revenue. And so it's how people like this, have actually gone. And so AJ, who runs this channel, this is his full-time job. This is a company. I don't know the people behind this. This is his full-time job. Full-time job. Full-time job. Don't know. This is a company. Full-time job. Full-time job. So all of them have actually just found through the channel there is enough revenue to come in that you can actually make a full-time job out of it. What I also found interesting, there's a gentleman in Australia. He has two kids, and he was doing unboxing. And sorry, where did it go? He actually said that I think in a year he spends like 60,000 US dollars buying toys for his kids to open up for the video. So that's his cost of production. Effectively, he just takes like I think an iPhone or a Canon camera. That's how he shoots. Outside of that, it's just the kid's time. But from the ad revenue on this, he is making multiples back, and it's now his full-time job. So quite interesting. So you have, again, this is like non-animation, but an ability to actually be viable economically. And then you have the animation side as well, and there's ability to be viable economically. So again, the first was like setting up the channel. You can enable monetization. That's one way to get started. I think the other thing I would just recommend, if this is a space that you're interested in, check out some of these channels, subscribe to them, or just study and see. You'll see some variance, I think, on how many videos do they have, how often do they upload. We have one partner in Brazil who makes kids content, and they only have 33 videos total, but they have 1 billion views. So what they've done is they've made only 33 videos, but each one is really good. And it gets watched and rewatched again by kids. And they've turned that also into, original IP that now you can buy toys and T-shirts and whatnot. It's the number one kids IP actually in Brazil today, and it's come from YouTube. They actually don't have this content on TV. So I would just recommend you could. I'm flipping through these, I think, somewhat fast, but I think as you go through each of the channels, again, you'll see the variance in depth. How many videos? You'll start to see some have, they've introduced characters, and then those characters, repeat and come back. And you could also see how, some others just take, very basic nursery rhymes, and that's how they started. And then the second is Content ID. Maybe, I'm guessing, less relevant for yourselves, but maybe based on actually what you guys produce, maybe more relevant for you. So Content ID is a platform that we launched several years ago, and it allows content owners who have original IP to recognize when any portion of that content is uploaded by a user on YouTube. So going back to like Disney and Frozen, so when users actually go and upload a cover of Let It Go, Disney can actually claim that video because it's based on their song, and they could enable monetization against that video and profit from that. And companies like Warner Brothers, do this with their animation. For like Tom and Jerry, there's fans out there who will, upload 30-second clips of Tom and Jerry, and they just want to share it. They love Tom and Jerry, and they want to share this with other people. So what Warner Brothers has chosen to do is, instead of taking that content down, they leave it up, and then they monetize it. We have companies in India who do this. One, yes, for monetization, but the other is actually for the data. And so what Content ID will tell you is, one, like, who are the people that are uploading, like where are they from, and then all the people that are watching that, where are they from. And so what we've heard from some of our partners in India, as an example, is that they realize that, we have a market in the Middle East that we never knew we had. But because the fans were the ones pushing the content, they just, through Content ID, we gave them the data and analytics to recognize that, and then they could organize their business to, take advantage of that. So this is pretty big. And talking with different studios, here in the region, and I was talking with some guys in Hong Kong just recently, and they said, we know we have a lot of content up on YouTube that's uploaded by fans, and we're fine with it because it actually helps us sell toys. But I said, we have this product and we can actually give you the data and we'll tell you actually exactly who's watching it and how often. They had no idea. So I think we have a lot of effort to still communicate that we actually have this product and this technology. And I think for people who make original content, it's something for them to take advantage of. And then the other one I just recommend, again, this is in English. It's not localized in Thai, but YouTubeCreator.blogspot.com. This is our blog where we communicate updates to the community. And so last week at VidCon, we announced several product updates and releases that are actually forthcoming. And so one is the fan-sourced subtitles. And so this is something we are hearing from partners a lot, and I think this would be relevant in this market. So if you produce content in Thai, but you wanted to actually expand that into 15 languages, to add subtitles could be expensive. And so we're launching a product that will let the community of users, your fans, actually do the work for you at no cost to you. And so you get the fans now to actually localize and add the subtitles for you as well. The other one we're launching is fan funding. And this is great, I think, for education channels or for channels that just have a strong subscriber base and affinity. And users now could basically give money to the creator on YouTube between $1 and $500. And so I showed Indiegogo before. That's more of like a campaign. This is more of, I like what you're doing. I want to support you. And so I'm going to give you some money. This is, again, something that we are hearing a lot from partners that actually make education content. Like some actually like Khan Academy, which, are you familiar with Khan Academy? It's one of our large education channels. They just didn't want any ads run against their content, just from a principle standpoint. So they disabled ads, and they get support in other ways. And so now with fan funding, fans can directly support them. And then the third is info cards. I think maybe a little bit advanced for this group, but one thing that we were hearing a lot from partners is I see the tablet and the phone. So 40% of YouTube's content is actually consumed on a tablet or mobile device. And in Asia, in some markets, it's 60, 70%. So the main way that people, and again, I think about like my kids, they only watch content on the phone and tablet. They don't watch TV anymore on a TV. All their media consumption is that's the biggest screen that they have in the house for them. But the thing is that our platform, for people who actually make, content and they want to direct that user to their own website or to an e-commerce page, it's easy to do that on the PC. It was hard to do that on these devices, and that's what we're changing. So we're launching a product to enable that, which again is, I think, for people that actually make, original, compelling content, build that fan base. There's just a lot more you can do about that. Yeah, so that's the first section. Maybe I'll just pause if there's any questions, and please also let me know if I'm going too fast. But any questions on what I've gone through on this? No? Okay, just 1 second. Let me upload the second. Oh, great, this works too. Okay, so this is a document that we typically only share with our partners, but I thought it'd be interesting and maybe relevant for you guys. So this is a top strategies document for family entertainment. So again, for people who are making content animation or targeting kind of a younger demographic on YouTube. And this is pulled from a lot of insights and working with our partners around the world. So there's 12 areas here that I'll go through, and again, if you have any questions or if I'm going too fast, please let me know. So the first, transitioning from clips to full-length episodes. So what's interesting is I think some people, when they think about YouTube and online content, they think it has to be short, and they think people have short attention spans. So it needs to be 1 minute or 3 minutes. It cannot be 20 minutes or cannot be 60 minutes. What we're starting to see is that's actually not true. And especially with like tablets, we're seeing that people are actually watching longer amounts of content for longer sessions. And with some of the content targeting like kids, and again, I just think about my own kids and how they watch. People that are actually building playlists, and so stringing together multiple pieces of content for maybe, say, one 25-minute video, that's actually getting watched quite a lot of time. And so you'll see, 15, 20-minute, view through of that 20-minute piece of content, which is quite big. So on the left, Mythical Show. This is a weekly series, and their episodes are 30 minutes in length. So again, not 3 minutes, 30. And We Are Busy Beavers, if you guys remember that channel I showed you, that's the guy living in New Zealand. And so they've doubled the total number of views from a series of 11 standalone clips by putting them into one unified 33-minute compilation. So this is what I just said. So you can go to the channel, and you can watch a 2-minute video, and then another 2-minute video. I think what's going on here, and again, I think about my own house, is that when you hand that device to the kid or to your child, they're going to go play a video, and then when that's done, then they come back to you, or they go and navigate something else. And so I think what parents are also finding is, sorry about that. So I think what parents are finding is the compilations are actually they're better. You can just press play, and if you know it's 30 minutes, you can give the device to your child, and they don't bother you for another 30 minutes. So maybe they're in the back of the car, or they're at the restaurant, or they're at home. You get all these different use cases. But I think this is what's playing into this. So again, you just see all these different clips that are actually quite short. But add on a lot of time. And one thing I didn't actually mention before, but it's worth kind of noting how the platform works. YouTube rewards videos based on their watch time. So not on the views, but actually on how much time people spend watching the content. So if you have a 5-minute video and someone actually is spending 4 minutes and 30 seconds watching that content, we then say that that video is actually quite valuable because someone is investing a lot of time watching it. And so what we've also seen happen is as partners upload these compilations of, say, 30 minutes, and they get 20 minutes average view time, we then think this is pretty good. Like someone's spending 20 minutes watching that piece of content, we're going to go and actually push that in our algorithm. And so when you go on the platform and you see recommended videos, we're going to put that one up top because someone's actually spending a lot of time watching it. And so what we noticed is partners who are utilizing this tactic are growing very fast, right? And what this is countering is before we used to actually reward based on views. And the challenge there is that, and if you've been on YouTube for a while, you might know this yourself, is you would see an interesting thumbnail, and you would click on that, and the video would have nothing to do with the thumbnail. And so what the uploader was trying to do was they were trying to entice you to click and somewhat tricking you, and that the video, again, was unrelated. So maybe, for guys, there was a lot of photos of women in various stages of undress. And so you click on that and thinking that that's what you're going to get. It has nothing to do with that. So what was happening is like partners were just trying to take advantage of the platform and on a view basis, and it was a really bad user experience. And so as we've kind of moved to watch time, if you're just trying to get people clicking on your videos and go away after 5 seconds, we're actually going to weight that down, and those videos are going to show up less often, right? Whereas if you're getting someone spending 20 minutes of their time watching your 30-minute video, that's going to come up much higher. So that's the first one. Is, again, just to be clear, it's not all about short form, long form. Like, don't be afraid to put up longer videos. Again, people are watching. So again, to summarize this, compilations, but this really only works, I think, when you have a library of content. So you need to make the library first to do the compilation. Talk formats. So Rhett and Link on the left, so they're a mythical show. Again, they have this community. It's very easy for them just to set up the camera and talk to the camera for 30 minutes. These guys could probably talk for 5 hours, no problem. So for them, filling a 30-minute piece of content is not an issue. And so they do this, again, just with the talk format. And then the third is like, so it's talking about observational formats. And the fourth is using timestamps. And so that it's just a way for users to kind of navigate. And so if you have one long piece of content, say 60 minutes, you can put in different timestamps. And if you want to allow the user to jump to that, then it's easy to kind of do that. And the last, and this is just around monetization. And for those that are actually monetizing the channel, it's talking about enabling mid-roll ads. And so when you'll see videos on YouTube, there'll be an ad before the video plays. And if it's a longer piece of content, let's say 10 minutes plus in length, there may also be an ad served in the middle of the video. And so what we've seen is like partners who put up a 30-minute piece of content, actually may want to serve an ad around minute 15. And then the user is already watching the content, and so they're going to watch the ad. It's good for the partner. They can actually make more money. Okay, so the second is packaging content to improve discoverability. So discoverability, this is, if you think of YouTube as a search engine, which it is, it's the second biggest search engine after Google. So some people are just looking for things all day long, and a lot of education content, gets searched on YouTube. It's like how to do something. Actually, we had an issue connecting the screen. And so actually, I went on my phone. I don't know if you saw me. I typed on YouTube how to connect a MacBook to a projector, and there was a video tutorial on YouTube. I was about to watch it, and then it finally worked. But anyhow, so you have people searching for content a lot. Then you get this long search result. And so if you're not on the first page, if you're not at the top of the first page, how do you get discovered, right? And how do you improve being discovered? And that's discoverability. So on the left, Sesame Street. So what they've done is they've created thumbnails. So you see here they have parody, shorts, and songs. Maybe hard to read. But they've added images on the thumbnails. And so if I'm a user, as actually a young child or a parent, I can look at just the thumbnails. And so if I'm looking for the songs from Sesame, I just look for the thumbnail with the red icon in the bottom left. It's a simple navigation guide. Works actually quite well for them. And so this is actually just talking about, if we look at family entertainment content, this is what what the chart on the right is actually saying is search and suggested placements account for more than 55% of the viewership for family entertainment content. And what this means is most of the views that you're going to get is because someone just searched it or it got recommended. And so again, if you get the search results page, you want to come up at the top. That's actually quite important. So some tips here, and these are things to think about, as you get started. So one is developing metadata, and metadata is effectively keywords to describe your video, and our search engine uses this to help basically know a little bit more of what that video is, and so like when to rank it. And so if you're making a video about singing the alphabet song, so one is so you have here, so you have the description of the video. So here you have the title, sing the alphabet song, then you have the description. What you don't see here publicly is the metadata. And so what Sesame actually may put in are 10 or 15 keywords that explain this video a little bit more. And so maybe it's alphabet, or maybe it's ABC 1 2 3. And so if I'm a parent, I just go and search, ABC 1 2 3 song. This may come up because they've added that metadata in, and then we've linked the two. Does that make sense? It's a search tactic. So second is creating the eye-catching thumbnails. I think the example here is pretty good. And so YouTube will actually recommend thumbnails for you sometimes, which is just, it's like some moment in the video. But what I think some of the better partners are doing is they actually upload an original image and a high quality image as the thumbnail. And they don't take any portion of the video as that thumbnail. And then the third is labeling the thumbnails, and I think I was explaining that with, again, the Sesame example here. Okay, so the third one is creating a consistent environment. So Awesomeness TV, this is the channel on the left. Okay, yeah. So the point here is that a lot of content, a lot of the consumption comes from the channel page, right? And so you have Awesomeness TV as a channel, and you have subscribe to the channel. And so what will happen as you, as a user, subscribe, and you should know this as users of YouTube yourself, when you come back to the platform or go to it on your mobile phone, you get videos recommended to you based on what you subscribe to. So what someone like Awesomeness TV is trying to do is say, I want you to subscribe, and just like reading a magazine, so if you read a magazine every time it comes out, you're probably doing that because you somewhat know what the nature of the content is. It's not going to be dramatically different issue to issue. So if you're reading a women's magazine, it's probably always going to be about women's content. It's not next month going to start being a men's magazine, for example. Same thing applies here, right? So if you're building the channel, the point here is be consistent. Don't have a wide variety of content, on that one channel. And so we're also seeing this with partners that are catering to, different audiences. And so some of those that I shared before, like what gets popular here in Thailand, like a lot of those are getting preschool channels. But I think what those partners now need to start thinking about is as these kids get older, they don't want to watch preschool content anymore. So do they start to add like Ben 10 and other Transformer cartoons on that channel? Maybe not, right? Because if they do that, then parents may say, I don't want my kids watching that. I only want them watching the preschool content. So what the partner then needs to start thinking about is building a second channel that's for the older age group, and not mixing the two pieces of content. So again, something to think about is if you're going to go create that channel, like who's your real like core target audience in mind. And so for Awesomeness TV, it's I would say mainly girls that are like 12 to 15 years old. That's their real core audience set. And so when they think about programming and developing content, they're thinking what's going to resonate to that audience. And they're not one day going to start making content for a 5-year-old or for a 30-year-old. It's pretty much always going to be for that tween to teen age group. And then the chart here, what this is saying is that most of the subscribers. So again, when you go to the channel and you can hit subscribe, what this chart here is saying is that most of these subscribers are coming from the channel page. So again, it all kind of makes sense then that if you build that consistency, you're building the brand. That's where you get the connection to the subscriber. So just to recap again, the points I was just kind of going through, being consistent, don't ignore the channel page, and then be organized. And so we allow tools where you can actually curate content on the channel through different shelves. So it's just like, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. You can actually put like a season or a series of content and label that. And so as I browse, it's easy for me to kind of navigate. And this is now, it's available on the mobile devices and tablet as well. So the fourth one is embracing fan uploads. And so I think the example I was giving earlier around Disney and Frozen is pretty apt here. And so, I think the 4 points, let's just go through them quickly. So be permissive. Yeah. So I think the point here is that, Disney could have taken an approach and said any upload of kids singing Let It Go, I want to take it down. I don't want that. Instead, they said, no. These kids actually love the film, or they love the content, and so we want to embrace that and celebrate that. And so again, as they do that, as I said earlier, if I think the official video was, let's say, 100 views. I think all the unofficial videos are probably 500 views. It's much, much larger than what they can do themselves. So again, one is just embracing that community as you have it. And then the other one is actually not just embracing, but also encouraging. And so I was talking with another IP owner recently, and he was sharing with me that in Malaysia, there's this local entertainment art of theater, and what he was saying is it's a dying art. And so on one hand, he's like, I want to celebrate and I want to keep this alive. And then the other thing he was thinking about was like, well, I have a new film to go and promote that's going to come out. And so what he's doing is he was going to these guys who are doing the puppet theater, and he was trying to encourage them to embrace like my film and my content and go do a user uploaded version, with your style of entertainment with my content. So feature clips and then creation and display the playlist. So the feature clips piece is, you can see this on some videos on the platform. At the end of the video, they actually may include several clips that fans have actually uploaded and call out. And if you're a fan of anyone, and when the person that you admire so much recognizes what you're doing, that actually just makes you an even bigger fan. And if you're not the one actually getting chosen, but you see someone else got spotlighted, you feel inclined, I think, to like, I want to actually be included the next time. And so it spurs a lot of fan momentum and activity, just recognizing the fact that people love what you're doing. And so we see this a lot with people on the platform that, are talking to the camera. They, they'll actually recognize the comments that they've received in the video, and they'll post a screenshot, of that comment, and then they'll respond to it. Quite powerful. It's something you don't see, I think, typically with a film or a TV star, being so transparent about their interaction with the fans, but that's, I think, something come to be expected almost on the platform. And then the last one is just, creating playlists. And so Talking Tom. This is a mobile app where kids go and talk to this cat, and then the cat responds to them in the high pitched voice through the app. Kids can actually go and upload. I mean, they could basically they could talk to Tom, and they could record that session, and then they could upload that to YouTube. And so what the company behind the app has done is they've gone and curated all of those videos of kids doing this and uploading to YouTube. Those videos today draw like hundreds of millions of views. It's quite powerful. And so it's like if you want to watch some kid playing with an app, then you can go do that. And I think the way that you guys, I think, missed this earlier, but I was showing earlier that a really big thing on the platform is just people watching others open up toys, and that's entertainment today. I think similarly, people are watching other people play with an app. That's entertaining. So the fifth one is aligning programming with topical events. It's kind of, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think some people just like don't remember this. So the example here is with Sesame Street, and there was a music artist, Carly Rae Jepsen, and she had this hit song, I'll say almost 2 years ago now, "Call Me Maybe." And so they did a parody of this, "Share It Maybe." And so as the song was popular in pop culture, they were just trying to leverage and write on that. And actually, you see this all. I see this too with with young girls who are trying to get some fame and notoriety. Earlier in the year, they were doing covers of Frozen because people were searching for the covers of Frozen. Then they get discovered, and then they use that to then showcase all the other work that they do. I've personally actually discovered, several artists in Asia because of that approach. So this is just a piece of just paying attention to festivals and holidays and other pop culture events and things that are coming up, like new movie releases or whatnot. And this is just thinking back to YouTube as a search engine, and people go to YouTube to search for things, and sometimes people go to YouTube to search for things that are happening like in their environment, in their community. And so how do you just be mindful of what those things are and, create content and program against that? So, Google search, trends.google.com is a great way to understand like what is trending on Google, what's popular, what are people searching for. And that's how I showed the chart before of Frozen in Thailand on YouTube. That's easy. I mean, you can do the same thing I did. And you can just type in certain keywords and just see, is this more popular than this, or is this trending up or trending down? It's always good to kind of find things before they're at their peak. And so as it gets bigger, then you get big with it. There's a lot of resources that Google provides that are free and easy, and it's just paying attention to, again, what's popular, and it can give you ideas for making content. Second one, again, is obviously just planning ahead. So I think a lot of the successful partners that I've met on YouTube definitely have a content calendar. They are not making things up as they go. They're thinking things out pretty far in advance. Like Mother Goose Club, for example, spends 2-3 months in the summer making content. And so they're making content for an entire year. And so he's already thinking about actually 2015 and he has to forecast out what's the trend and what's going to be popular, because he actually makes content only a short period of time. So getting creative, I think, is pretty obvious. And then the last one is just optimize. And so I think that the point here is that the platform is ever evolving. And so what works today may not work tomorrow, and what didn't work today actually may work tomorrow. And so it's just a matter of, I think, just being fluid and flexible, and that it's not always going to be the exact same way, and there's not like one right way or one wrong way to kind of do things. There are different ways. And so you just need to also go find for your content and for your community that you're trying to grow, like what works best for you. So number 6, creating a lean back viewing experience. So this goes into playlists and what I was saying before. So there's a device that Google launched and it's rolling out to different markets now around the world called Chromecast, which basically turns any TV into a smart TV. And we use this at home with the kids, and it's quite interesting to watch, and where they will go and just create the playlist and add in videos for 20, 30 minutes, and then just hit play and then sit back, and then it just plays automatically. What some partners are doing as well, though, is they're saying, I'll make that playlist for you, right? I will actually go and combine 15, 20 videos, and if you just have 30 minutes of time and you don't want to think too much about what to watch next, just hit play on the playlist, and I'll fill that 30 minutes for you. And so, again, compilations are pretty big. Playlists are also pretty big as well. So compilations, I would say, is more of like actually taking all those individual videos and making one big video. Playlists is like still letting each of those videos be standalone. But the point here is that there are users who prefer to watch things through a playlist, and that's just their method. And so the example here, so Crash Course is an education channel, and so they'll make a playlist on a topic like U.S. history, and the point here on the right is just talking about that the linear playlists are their number one driver of views, but also drive higher view duration. So very impactful. Again, this will maybe vary content category by content category, but I think definitely on family entertainment, animation content, this is good. And I think education content, works really well as well. So the 4 points to summarize on this one. So ordering the serialized content, creating the visual narrative, creating a precise playlist metadata, and making the seamless experience. So I talked about metadata before. So the same thing that how you're searching for a video, people also search for playlists. And so think about ways to describe that playlist and add that into the metadata, which is helpful. And then, so the visual narrative. And so this is, I think, going back to how are you trying to merchandise the playlist itself through the thumbnails, and just trying to be as descriptive or creative as possible. So 7, optimizing content for all viewing devices. This goes to the earlier point I was saying. 40% globally, over 50% in a lot of Asian markets of YouTube is watched not on a desktop, but on a mobile or tablet. Again, if you look at some markets like Korea, Japan, it's 60, 70%. So it's just worth thinking about that if they're watching it on a smaller screen, or they're also watching it mobile, it's like in the car, commuting to school or to work. How are you thinking about the content and that viewing experience, for that mobile tablet device? And in the analytics that you get actually with your channel on YouTube, it's quite easy. You'll be able to see actually, by country, how are people watching your content. And you can also see what's the session time. And so are they watching it for longer or shorter periods of time on a tablet or on a mobile device. And the other piece here you can start to look into is when are people dropping off in your video? And so you can go back and look at actually what's the content you're making, and when they drop, if a lot of people drop off at the same point, work out what is it about that part in the video that lost people's attention. There's a lot. Again, I think the analytics side is quite powerful just to study and learn more about the audience. So making thumbnails for all devices. Again, as you get to the smaller screen, So if you're making things for the desktop and you're thinking they can easily read what's in the thumbnail, when you get on a mobile phone, you probably can't even read the text. So you need to think about things like that. Images maybe work better than the text. So the keywords and the description links, and then also just creating the channel for all devices. And so thinking about your creative and how you're designing things, that if some users are only going to ever watch your content on a mobile device, just think about you as a user yourself. How do you want to navigate content? And just think about that's maybe the same way that they want to do that as well. So this one is plugging into, so number 8 is plug into existing audience demand. And so this is one of the, Hoopla Kids is one of the partners, family entertainment partners out of India. And they're actually quite active and somewhat aggressive, actually, buying ads. And so they don't just wait for people to find them. They go and find the user. And what they're doing is they're thinking about, again, I've said this several times already, but I'll say it one more time, like just YouTube as a big search engine. So people go to the platform and they search. And the thing is that you can actually buy keywords on YouTube, and that's what they're doing. So when you search Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, they come up at the top because they bought the keyword Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So it's a fast way to actually grow audience. And I've talked with them about this, and what they find is the amount of money they need to spend on the ads, they make even more money back on the ads that Google sells around their content. So this is profitable for them, and they just keep doing it. The other part here is that you can think about this as like if you're thinking beyond Thailand, right, and you want to expose your content into other markets, you could just buy keywords in, let's say, Singapore or Brazil or Turkey, and you can build up an audience through advertising, and then you can turn it off after you actually have a community of users from let's say you want 20,000 subscribers, in Singapore. You can just optimize it that way through advertising, get to that point, turn it off, and let it organically grow from there. So we've seen this also with partners and how they dive into markets and they turn on and turn off ads. And so it's not always that they're always on all the time, but it's just a way of growing there. And what this is just showing is that they get to kind of record views on their channel page by combining kind of advertising and the organic. So they work hand in hand is the point here. So on this one, I said this earlier to those of you that are here at the start, but it's more of, go and study the channels on the platform. Type in a lot of keywords and go see what shows up, and also see if people are buying those keywords. Just understands like what your market or your competitive set actually may be is the point there. And going back to the data that Google provides for free, look at trends data. So back to the programming strategy, if something is hot pop culture in the market, you can make content about that. You can also go and optimize search keywords about that as well. So polling friends and family, and then creating a targeted advertising. So that's the targeted advertising piece I explained before, and just how you think about your audience growth, and maybe by market or by day of the week or month of the year, and when you maybe want to ramp up or kind of ramp down some activity. Always varies. So number 9, create interactive content. And so this is on the two-way dialogue piece, I think, between the creators and their audience. So this is just also getting into audience participation. So it's I think more about just recognizing, if you have a community, recognizing that you actually have that community. And if you have fans that love what you do, showing them that you actually can, see them. And maybe not physically, but, I think more through the interaction that they actually bring you. And so I've seen this with different partners that, have actually been sent stuff from their fans, and then they bring that into the video, or fans have actually gone in and produced pieces of content, and again it's kind of bringing that into the video, or it's just stitching in entire videos of UGC and actually pushing that through the platform. But again, I made this point I think several times earlier that it's just like it's quite impactful. I think what we've just been seeing, those that actually do recognize that fan community and how they embrace that. So on the interactivity side, I think the other part here is adding like captions, and also this is talking directly to the audience, incorporating the audience questions, creating the interactive formats. I think another thing that I've also seen with some partners, trying to see if I can find a like Hoopla Kids. Actually, they don't do it so much, but some others. So the example I wanted to kind of share is you have like a main channel, and that's like maybe where all your high quality professional content goes. And what I see with some partners, what they do is they set up a second channel, and it's their vlog channel, and that's the entire channel is just dedicated to talking to their fans and responding to things that the fans send them. And so back to what I was saying earlier about, do you mix everything on one channel or do you separate? That's what some of the partners have actually done, and they've done this quite well, where the second channel becomes, very popular as well. So 10 on reaching a global audience. 80% of YouTube consumption is outside of the United States. So we always have to remind partners in the U.S. that U.S. is not the only market. There's a big market outside of the U.S. I think for those that actually live outside the U.S., that's, I think, pretty standard. They don't need to be reminded that. Pocoyo, this is a content from Spain, and they've gone and created language-specific channels. For those of you that are here at the start, I showed you Tutitu from Israel. They've already localized in Thai language, and for this example here is kind of showing that's why they went and made the channel in Thai, and so. From a content perspective, it's like if you think about this from a competitive nature, your competition is not only who's in this market, it's now people outside of Thailand who want to reach the viewer in Thailand. And they could do it through the platform very easily. And I've also heard this from a lot of partners as well, like in a traditional like television model, you actively have to sell into every single country you want to go into. YouTube by default, you're global. Like you put your video up, you're going to be in 200 countries around the world, which is nice. And so you then just look at how do you want to grow from there. So on the global basis, you get localizing videos, language specific playlists, localizing the channels, and then caption files. And again, I'll just say that again. If you check out the blog that I mentioned earlier, we launched the user uploaded captions, and so you don't necessarily need to rely now on heavy investment to subtitle your content. We now are launching a product to allow fans to do that work for you for free. I think if you're looking at the kids market, kids like 2 to 5 are maybe not going to be reading, so captions maybe not that necessary. Dubbing is going to be a lot more important. I think that's still going to be expensive, but I've seen some partners here in Asia. What they've done is they've attracted students and like backpackers that are like traveling in their country, and you get that a lot here in Bangkok. You'll see people from all around the world, like here in Bangkok, all year long. So it's one way to just think about that you can just attract them, and they know their native language, and you can get their time, and they can actually dub the content for you. And so I've seen this, like a partner in Hong Kong has done this quite well, and he's just taken students, and it's like pretty much like for free. I think he buys them a meal. That's it, like no other cost. And then they help localize the content for him. All right, so number 11, I think there's 2 left. So adapting formats to bring families together. So Rosanna Pansino, she loves 2 things. She loves video games and she loves cooking. And so she combines the 2. So she cooks like cupcakes and whatnot, and the design are video game characters. And so what she's found is she's actually brought two kind of different worlds together. So she has one fan base of like gamers, and she has another fan base of just people that love to cook or eat. And they're both of her fans. And so she's doubled the opportunity, let's say, that if she was only just doing like cooking videos. But I think now she also stands out. Like, there's a lot of food cooking channels on YouTube. There's no one like her that's like a female that's got a great personality. And there's this other woman, Hannah Hart, that I'm trying to think of like what the combination is, but she has this. Her channel is My Drunk Kitchen, and she started out doing cooking videos while drunk on alcohol, which is quite interesting to watch. So I'm trying to think of like if there's an alcoholic community, maybe not, but anyway. Yeah. So again, some stuff here. I think these are repeats of what I've been saying like so far in this session. Just spend time on the platform, look at actually what has a lot of views, what's working. Study that a little bit more. Understand, have your own thoughts like why. Subscribe to channels, kind of see how they interact with people, and go from there. And then the last one is growing the brand awareness and loyalty. So I made this point earlier just in terms of, staying consistent, like having a voice, and staying consistent with that voice on the platform. I think like with Rhett and Link and their Good Mythical Morning, they have that authentic voice. They do stay consistent with that, and people want to come back to that. And so they feel like they have a relationship. And I've seen this with other, YouTubers. I'm looking at the women here, but like there's a YouTuber, Bethany Moda, and she has this Mac Barbie '07 channel. I don't know if you've come across this, but she does like shopping and fashion videos. And she was here in Bangkok just actually last month. And she actually uploads videos every Sunday. And I just saw her last week in LA, and she was telling me that she travels a lot. Like, again, she was just here in Thailand last month. But she has to make sure that every Sunday she uploads videos because her fans now expect it. And if she doesn't, like, she will get a lot of tweets or messages on like, where is your video? What's wrong? And so it's an interesting kind of outcome of that is like, as you cultivate that community, like one, they really love and they look forward to every upload you have. So there's that opportunity and how you kind of go along with it. So last points here, so getting verified channel status, including the watermark and the thumbnails, developing characters, and creating, consistent intros. And so, again, this is just about like standing out, standing apart from others. Anybody can go create content on the platform. Anybody can have a channel. As I said before, with a lot of the kids' content, you had people start with like nursery rhymes, which anybody can do. But I think some of the more successful partners now, they've moved beyond that, and they don't just make what anyone else can do. Like Mother Goose Club, as I showed earlier, they have their own characters, and people like come to, know and recognize, who those characters are. So that's it. So again, I'll pause. I think half the room kind of came in and missed the whole first half of the session, so apologies for that. But if there are any questions you guys have, I can take that now. Or is this all too fast? So let me ask you guys a question. So who here actually has a channel on YouTube that you actually make content and you upload it? No one, right? But are you thinking about that now? Is that why that's why you're here, right? So what kind of content do you make? So you want to make a brand for then people to buy the T-shirts of that brand. Got it. Like who's your ideal target audience for that? Like teenagers? Teenagers. So you want to make like manga, anime type content? So like animated characters. Okay. Cool. And how about yourself? Kids books. Okay. In Thai. Okay, great. Which we don't have enough of. So I think that there's an open market for that. Um, yeah, I've seen this a lot actually in India where there's several companies who they've taken books and all they just turn each book into a 3-minute video, which is great for them. So and they're small like 3-4 person companies, and they do it in like 2D Flash. But the good thing I think that they've found is that they don't need to come up with the story. The book's already there. So all they need to do is translate that into a video. And then the other part is that some kids have already maybe read the book. And so then when they look for that on YouTube, they already know the story. And then they want the video version of that. And so they've actually found traction quite fast and grown pretty well. So how about yourselves? Do you have channels on YouTube? No. You're just here to learn. And then, actually, how about for those of you that actually came in late, just so I understand? So, are you students or are you in companies that are actually producing content? You got a question? Oh, you have a channel. What kind of content do you make? Traveling. Okay. Okay. How long have you been making content for YouTube? Oh, then you don't do it. Yeah. So I think uh, there's also I mean I think for everyone maybe to think about it, if you are going to start a channel, and I've been saying this before, is one is like being consistent, and that's also about being consistent with like uploads. Um, and so we were actually looking at this recently across all categories, and I think years ago it used to be that maybe to what you were just saying, when you had something to upload, you uploaded it. Um, then what we started to see is that people were getting bigger on YouTube because they uploaded frequently, and it was coming out like every week. And so I said, like, Bethany, she uploads every Sunday. And so she makes an effort to make sure that every Sunday she has a new video to go up. And what she's found is that as she does that on a consistent basis, she gets bigger. And today she has, I think, almost 7 million subscribers. And I think some of that is, you could tie that to just being consistent. And I think if she had uploaded once and then not for 6 months, she maybe would never have, one, grown or sustained that community. But like I said, the outlier I'm just thinking about right now is like we have one partner in Australia, and she did like traveling videos and comedy videos. Her name is Natalie Tran, and her channel is Community Channel. I don't know if you've come across her, but she's an Australian Vietnamese. But she was on YouTube for many years, and then she just got too busy and she stopped. And she got comments from her fans like wondering what's happened to her. Like, why have you stopped uploading? And she went almost like 6 months, I think. But the good thing for her is like because she was consistent before, she built that community. And so while she took a 6-month break and traveled the world and did other things, when she came back and uploaded that next video 6 months later, all of her audience immediately watched it. She had millions of views immediately. And so I don't think she would have been able to do that if it wasn't for efforts she had before, which was, again, being consistent with the uploads. I've shown Rhett and Link several times, the My Mythical Morning. They have the weekly series. They're also now starting to do stuff on a daily basis. And so there's also people, users, and some of this, maybe you guys as well. Some people actually now want content new every day. And so it all depends. I think if you're doing animation, I think maybe hard to upload daily content. But I was talking with a studio yesterday, and they want to produce 52 episodes of animation. And the way that they're going to go about it is they won't upload the first video until they have 10 episodes finished. And so they'll have it's basically giving them a lead time. And so they'll put up episode 1, they'll have 9 others done, and then they'll start working on episode 11. But then they don't fall into a pressure that every week I have to go make a whole new thing. So, great. Do you guys have any questions, though, on... Yes. Yeah, so are you a partner? No. Yeah, you don't have to be famous to get money. No, no. So let me, I think for the benefit of those that, let me just show. Let me just quickly show this for those that that came late. So what I'll just repeat this again quickly. So I was just talking about the fact that we're at Bangkok Comic Con, and then last week in Anaheim was VidCon, which is a YouTube gathering. 18,000 people, mostly screaming teenagers, meeting people who make content on YouTube. It's like they're stars. And so here you're here to see Doraemon or Star Wars. At VidCon, it's all like people like yourself that actually, when you become famous, you'll go to VidCon. You laugh now, but like you may be there next year. Who knows? This is the scene, at VidCon last week. Again, just thousands of people wanting to see in person that channel on YouTube that they watch every week. And it's obsessive. And, there are, teens in the U.S. Force their parents to travel all across the country to go to this event. Like, they plan a year in advance, for it. And you get, like, guys like Mystery Guitar Man on the right in the glasses, Joe from Brazil, and, just fans getting to, meet him in person. These are the two guys that created the event, Hank and John Green. And they run a channel on YouTube called Vlogbrothers. And 5 years ago, they just saw that there was no place for people on YouTube that make content to gather. And so that's actually why they went and made VidCon. And so it started in a hotel in like a basement, and it's just doubled in size every year. And so now they're at the Anaheim Convention Center. Next year, if it doubles again, it's going to be, over 30,000 people. And so John Green, their Vlogbrothers channel, 2.2 million subscribers. Their community calls themselves Nerd Fighters, and they kind of feel like they're part of that, Vlogbrothers Nerd Fighter community. John's also an author, and he wrote The Fault in Our Stars. You guys familiar with his book? And later this month, the film, I just saw the poster outside, it's coming here. And so what I was just sharing before is, this became a bestseller because I would say he had this community on YouTube to promote the book. And then because the book was popular and also because he has this community on YouTube, everyone wanted to go see the film. And so this film is done phenomenally well at the box office. And it didn't cost a lot of money to make. But because I think he has this large fan base, they all wanted to actually see the film. And then the other one I was just sharing before is this other channel called Rooster Teeth. And these guys have been around for a while, and they have a gaming kind of community, and they make original film, and they have a campaign on Indiegogo right now, and it's still 3 days to go, but so far they've raised $2 million from 30,000 fans. They have 7.5 million subscribers on their channel, with 30,000 people have actually given them $2 million, which is great, right? And so I think there's this movement is underway where it's not this passive viewer anymore, but fans now really want to, what you were saying before, like you want to make content to get people to buy, T-shirts and toys. I mean, it's totally possible. I think as you kind of cultivate that connection, this is kind of what the platform is allowing. So I talked about Frozen and how it's just been very big on the platform this year with a lot of fan uploads. And then this chart is just showing, this is the search query Frozen, and this is going back to 2009. But this spike here, this is when the film came out. And so this is people on YouTube looking for content, and you get, like this girl here doing a cover, 22 million views. And you have also, people here in Thailand doing the same in Thai language. So just showcasing that. So then I got to this. And so I was just saying, Frozen's very big, and that's global. It's been localized, by, you have here like the Walt Disney Company in Thailand doing the Thai version. But then what I was just sharing with those that were here before is what else is popular here in Thailand. And again, I was focusing more on animation and family content. But these are the channels that actually get viewed millions of times every month here in Thailand. The biggest of which is Mother Goose Club. This is out of New York. Started out with nursery rhymes type content, but they've created characters and in costumes. So they do production in the summer. So they're in production right now, and they'll finish in I think August, and then they have a year's worth of content pre-produced, and then they just release videos on a consistent basis, and getting quite big. So they're 800,000 subscribers, but the guy behind this is his full-time job now. And he's been making money, pretty much from the first video. So he didn't need to be famous to get paid. He's been kind of getting monetized. So the second is Tutitu. This is from Israel. And they've already gone and localized in Thai. And so they recognize that this is a growing market. They had opportunity here. So these are guys that have, as far as I know, never been to Thailand. Probably never will come to Thailand. They'll just stay in Israel. But they'll program for the market, and they'll get more views. And then so the other one is, so the next one is Toys and Funny Kids. And what I was just showing here is it's not just animation, but there's a really big market on the platform right now of people just kids watching other kids open up toys. It's huge. And this is just simply go buy Kinder Surprise and videotape you opening up that Kinder Surprise. And that'll get viewed millions of times. And then what's also interesting is toy companies have recognized who these big channels are, and they're now paying these guys to include their toy in the video. It's pretty good. Cyber Village Solutions from India. Basic 2D Flash. Gets viewed, again, millions of times here in Thailand. Super Simple Songs. These guys are in Canada. Pretty big here. Busy Beavers. He's in New Zealand. Came from Canada. Very big here. Another unboxing channel. Angry Birds out of Finland. And Kids TV 123 out of Japan. So, again, the point I was making before, for those of you that weren't here, is all the top channels in Thailand, none are actually in Thailand. That's one thing. Second is they're all in English. And so you could probably summarize from this that there is a market here of parents who are exposing their kids to English content at a very young age. And they're doing it on YouTube. But that's not to say, I think, and you would probably know better, that Thai parents don't want their kids learning Thai. I'm sure they do. We just don't have a large base of creators here in Thailand yet doing these types of channels in Thai. But as one suggestion for you guys that run your studio, or for anyone else here that actually has a studio, if I were you, I would just go and look at each of these channels and go take the best of what they do and do this in Thai. There's no one doing it. And that's that. So I think this is it's an interesting market opportunity. You have a low competition base right now, and there's opportunities to kind of grow. So then, last things again, for those of you that weren't here, YouTube. So it's at the top, youtube.com/creators. Check this out if you haven't. You could download on the site a playbook. It's a PDF. It's quite long, but has more of like the tips and the tricks that I've kind of gone through today, and really just about how to get started. So that's the first one I would go and look at. This may be less relevant. And then the other one is just youtubecreator.blogspot.com. This is our blog where we make announcements. So we made a lot of announcements last week about new products that are being launched. There's about, I think, close to 10 new products that we're actually rolling out. But going back to this one, and this is, if you haven't already done it yet, this is, I think, where you need to go get started. So go to Creators, and I think there'll be some guidance here on when you go into your channel. When you log into your account, you can enable your channel for monetization. So if you haven't already done that, that's what you can do. And then the second thing is you can actually join our partner program. It's free. And as you do that, and as you start making your own original content, we have tools. What this is showing is we have a product called Content ID, and this is what people like Disney use. And this is how they can basically claim all those kids who are making covers of Let It Go. Disney claimed all of those videos, and they could serve ads against it, and they get the ad revenue, which is huge, right? So if you figure, like, there are, I think, 200,000 plus user uploads of the Let It Go song that have been viewed, millions of times, and Disney can actually go and monetize all of that. So it's one, embracing the fan community, and two, benefiting from that. And for you that make your own content, you can do the same thing. So that's Content ID. But back on this, just real basic stuff is, go to the Creator Hub, and it'll be some guidance there on your channel. And in the settings actually you have on your channel, that's where you enable monetization. It's actually just box. So if you haven't done that yet. And so, monetization on YouTube happens several ways. One is with video ads, and then two is with banner and display advertising. The video ads are worth more money. And so as more people watch your content, then we'll serve those video ads against that, and you keep the majority of the revenue. So you don't need 1 million subscribers. You don't even need 1 million views. Like, we'll start serving ads pretty much from the first view if you enable it. And then again, there's also different, as you upload the video on YouTube, there's also settings as you upload it for monetization. And so you can change, like you don't need to monetize every video the same way, right? So some you may say, I don't want the video ad showing, or you may just elect that you want everyone showing. But again, if you haven't seen this before, I would recommend going to this site as well. And then again, you could download the playbook. And that's that. And then the document I shared as well, for those of you that are actually interested in family entertainment content, and I can share the PDF of that as well. I can email that to you.